I do want to thank Majority Leader Rojas for his support in coordinating logistics for this press conference and his continued support to the causes that United Way stands for. Also thank the Governor for standing with us today, and the Lieutenant Governor, and Commissioner of Housing, Salem Mascaro-Bruno. We're very excited to announce the impact that we're going to have in the community as this cold weather season approaches. United Way started this fund 2 years ago in response to a steady increase in homelessness after years of decline. Connecticut has experienced 10% increase in homelessness recently, and through this fund we've been able to work with municipal partners to provide direct cash assistance to individuals who are at risk of experiencing homelessness. So our goal is to keep people housed. This is a preventative measure. We do not want people to fall into the shelter system. We want them to be warm and housed this coming season. So we've seen some incredible outcomes from people around the 860 region, and we've just been really proud to reach nearly every town in our central and northeastern Connecticut service area, 56 townships within Connecticut. So this fall and winter, residents across the state continue to face new challenges. Our Connecticut United Way's ALICE report details the fact that more households are struggling with financial hardship, 40%. At the same time, people are experiencing reductions in their SNAP and health care benefits. And so this means that people are having to make very difficult choices every day in our community. And our United Way is prepared once again to step up. Over the last several weeks, we have partnered with Representative Foster, who's here today, and Representative Leeper to make emergency grocery assistance available to residents across Connecticut. And we quickly mobilized and fundraised to distribute support to people affected by both the government shutdown and SNAP that are impacted through food security for so many people. So we greatly appreciate Representative Foster and Representative Leeper for their leadership on this initiative. And in addition, we have been partnering with local school districts. So local school districts, very similar to our municipalities. We have a couple of pilots that we have launched through a rapid response fund where families are able to go to those school districts and receive monetary assistance. So today is the official launch of the United Way Rapid Response Fund. We're pleased to share that our United Way is investing a kickstart effort of $100,000, and this is a great way to help many people, and we're hoping to do more. So our intention is to raise funds for this fund. You can go to our website, unitedwayinc.org, and donate to the Rapid Response Fund, but our initial investment is one that we think is important as this cold weather season approaches. And we've really seen some incredible acts of generosity throughout our community. You can also text to donate. UW Rapid Response to 41444 and give help to thousands of families at risk of losing housing during these challenging times ahead. So joining us this morning, we have a few of the 40 and counting municipalities that have partnered with us to make sure families get the assistance they need through this fund. And in addition, we're very proud to be working with Journey Home, who is also here in the room with us today. We've been working with Journey Home to provide a new toolkit that's designed to help municipalities navigate these resources to help homelessness in their respective communities at the local level. So if you are at risk of losing your home this winter and you are seeking housing resources, please contact your municipality's Human Services Department to inquire about United Way's Rapid Response Fund for direct cash assistance. You must live in our 56-town service area and be actively experiencing financial hardship to qualify. And so at this time, I'm honored to introduce Lieutenant Governor Susan Weisswitz.
Hi everybody, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us for this important announcement. I think it is critical to understand what our homelessness situation is in Connecticut. On January 28th of this year, there were 3,735 sheltered and unsheltered people experiencing homelessness in our state. This is an overall increase of 325 or 9.5%. And in 2024, though, we were at 13%. So we've made progress, but there is still more work to do. I also think it's important to say that we've decreased homelessness among families by 10%. So the governor and I are very, very proud to be here to announce with the United Way their Rapid Response Fund for Northeastern Connecticut. We've been making progress, but we know that there are so many things that can play a role resulting in someone being, or a family being homeless. While this year's percentage increase in homelessness was lower than last year, we know from our shelters and our social service organizations that there still is great need, and every year we know more and more people are looking for emergency shelter and could potentially need the assistance that the United Way is offering to ensure that they keep their housing. So the activation of this fund is truly a lifeline for families. It provides direct cash assistance to ensure that people get the help that they need quickly and efficiently so that they can stay in their homes. I'd like to thank the United Way of Central and Northeastern Connecticut for their commitment to helping families across the state, and we're proud to work with them as great partners. No one should have to face the winter without a safe, secure, and warm place to stay. And we would urge the people of Connecticut to continue their generous support. Whenever we have had a problem or a crisis in our state, people stepped up. They stepped up when we were dealing with this issue of food assistance to our food share. And now we are asking, as we approach the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, for the people of Connecticut to stand up and provide whatever they can spare to help the United Way and our state in this important mission. So with that, I would like to introduce Governor Neville. Or say it sorry. I guess we have different shows, sorry.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, United Way, for your commitment to help us to be able to respond to the needs of our residents in Connecticut. In addition to what United Way is doing, which is really needed, the Department of Housing, through Governor and Lieutenant Governor, we have put out $12.5 million for the emergency for this winter. And that includes $4.5 million to increase capacity for warming centers. So we will increase about 935 beds for this winter. $3.5 million for the hubs, which has been incredible to support our families and individuals that they can walk in and they can get that emergency resources for rental assistance to be in their homes. And $3 million for eviction prevention to make sure that we keep people in their homes and they're not displaced. In addition to $1.5 million that we did a pilot program to move 9 families out of shelters in the Fairfield area with 5-year subsidy to make sure that they have a path forward. Also linking them into workforce development and $400,000 additional flex fund for urgent needs. So that's in the emergency situation. We have another about $110 million that right now we're working with in major initiatives like $50 million for studios for our homeless for permanent housing, in addition to the $15 million that we provide for the shelter, capital needs for shelters, because although they're providing a service, sometimes they don't have the adequate space to be able to assist to emergencies. And then we also have some of the initiatives. One that is really exciting is with the partnership with the Charter Oak Health Center and Journey Home. They have gave us 10 studios that are going to be able to house 20 people, double room, but the exciting thing is that they will have a clinic right there in their space. So they invited us to be part of that and we're providing the wraps for those individuals. And then we have about $36.2 million in building studios in partnership with several shelters that they're changing how we're providing emergency housing, not just congregate housing, but hotel style where a person can really work and their success, and have the medical, the mental health, substance use, and workforce development. We're trying to tie that with that. So I think that the commitment from our governor and lieutenant governor to make sure that our most vulnerable residents have resources to be able to succeed is so important. But we couldn't do this alone. So thank you, United Way, for your partnership and for all the private sector that are helping us in this effort. Thank you. Now I'll go to my
Well, thank God for the United Way and the rapid response. Please contribute. Please be generous, especially in this lead up to Thanksgiving. As Susan said, the holiday season. I think we've seen firsthand how many of our citizens are living on the edge. We've seen that during last month and all the snap back and forth and the food insecurity, and all of a sudden, hundreds of people lining up in food shelters, and I appreciate the incredible generosity people have shown there, and we've tried to step up as well. I think you see when it comes to housing and the homeless, I mean, we made really good progress in the state, over the last 10 years. I want to give a shout out to my predecessor, Dan Malloy, who did so much. It's now getting dodgy. You've seen some numbers have picked up in terms of homeless. And what we're trying to do, you heard from Salem, the number of new shelter beds we're doing, the number of rental vouchers we're trying to keep up. It's not easy. Federal government is yanking back all the time. You maybe saw some of the risks that they put on the plate just yesterday. We're looking at that very hard right now. Also, I love what Salah's doing in terms of thinking about how we people not just make sure they get shelter, but they can get back on their feet. We took a lot of that money, tens of millions a year from the opioid settlement money, to make sure the folks who really suffer from addiction, we're having the wraparound supportive services, as well as a home and a housing and a place that they can call home, give them the support they need. Often in the community. I love what that is. I love what Salah's doing in terms of the Head Start program. A lot of very young families, often just a mom, newborn, they're homeless. They can't afford a place to stay because they can't afford to get back to work because they can't afford a place to take care of their child. So we're trying to put those together. Andrea Barton-Reese has something called the Opportunity Centers we're trying to go. So not only do you get Medicaid, not only do you get SNAP benefits, but also you can get child care and a lot of supports you need to help you get back on your feet. And again, I just want to end where I concluded. Thank you to United Way. Please step up and be generous. A lot of people really are looking out for you this time of the year, and we need you.
Thanks again, Governor. I appreciate your leadership in stepping up with us every single year that we've launched this. I do want to introduce Astrid Calderon. She's an LCSW Youth and Social Services Supervisor for the town of East Hartford.
Good morning. I was asked today to come to provide a testimony for a family. I'm humbly taking the opportunity to say that last year, every year, we received money to help families stay in their homes. Last year, there was a family, a couple with 3 children, that we provided $300 just to complete a month of rent, so that family didn't go into a notice to quit or an eviction. This is something that we received with, very important, because we are frontline workers that are able to provide them to the real people that we see every day. The town of East Hartford is always working with United Way, receiving any funding available to make sure that our communities are receiving the basic needs that they deserve. That family is not here because they were afraid to come in front of the camera, and that's why I'm here. A little bit shaky, but too. But thank you. It's important also to consider this a very strong community action. Lining on volunteers. Going to the food pantries to provide food and in other ways. So I appreciate the time today, and thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tom.
I did want to just invite Representative Foster to come up as well, who's been leading the Emergency Grocery and Assistance Initiative with United Way. Representative.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I want to say the Emergency Grocery Assistant Program really fits closely in line with this housing work that we do. A lot of times in the public health space where I do my research, people talk about the intersection between the social determinants of health, but really for people to live and survive and thrive in their communities, they need housing and they need healthy food and they need heat and they need to be able to afford the prescriptions that their families need. And for most families, they are one unexpected bill away from that balance. And when the economy is like it is right now, where the cost of groceries are higher than ever before, and utility costs are higher than ever before, and rent, and every little thing adds up, that treacherous balance that so many families live in is just so much closer to the edge of that cliff that they fall off. And when families with young children fall on that cliff, it is so hard to organize yourself and get things going to get the help that you need. So $300, which to someone might not seem like a lot, could be the way that that family puts one foot in front of the other and keeps on going the next day. And I think sometimes for folks it's easy to forget that that is your neighbor down the street. It doesn't matter what neighborhood you live in, what town and what affluence is around you, that a lot of people are living very close to the edge in a way that they never expected to before. And so now that we're in this moment where we know so many of our neighbors are struggling, when we know that the lapse in SNAP and that uncertainty about what was going to happen, about whether or not their cards were going to be filled with money, that families really stressed. I think it's an important time for those of us who can to lean in and support in whatever way we can, and to champion policies that really act as the safety net that launches people into prosperity after their moments of falling out of it. So I'm happy to be here with this team. We're doing wonderful work. There's so much more to do, and I'm happy to lean in. Thank you.
Thanks again, and again, to contribute, please text to UW Rapid Response 41444, and also our website, unitedwayinc.org, and we can take any questions if you have any.
Could you please help, if you have a family in one of these 50 plus towns, and I'm in this situation where I'm having difficulty, and I want to contact my human services in my town, how do I go about doing that, and what can they do to help me specifically?
You would go directly to them at the town. I don't know if Russell, you have something you want to provide in terms of like any other information?
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, just contact the town hall.
Yeah, so just contact the town hall directly.
Usually the social service agency or something
And is this
like that.
money for food, for rent, for what, and is it $300 do they get? I'm not.
It just depends on the circumstance, so there can be a range to that. Yeah, but the town, the human services director is the one who determines that, but it's around that range. I would say within like $100 to $500 typically is the average.
And are all 56 towns doing this?
Good question. So I think 30,
40 right now.
40 right now?
But
Okay,
more
but we're still, we're gonna get the other 16. We just, it's just a matter of signing them up.
How much money was raised last year?
We put out $100,000. We did not actively fundraise it aside from that.
So this is the first time.
This is the first time that we're making an active fundraise push in addition to our investment, yes.
And how much was actually expended or was requested rather? Was there a wait list for that or?
I mean, it was all expended, but I don't think there was anything additional. Basically what happens is when we work with the town, we're in constant contact with them in terms of the funds, going down, we're expending the funds, do you have any more referrals?
And I know a lot of people don't know Alice families, right? Those are people kind of fall in the middle. They don't make, they make too much to qualify for some things, not enough to qualify for others. Are you seeing more middle-class families or Alice families who need these type of services?
Certainly, yeah. I mean, and that's, our recent Alice report shows that 40% of Connecticut residents fall into that category.
Is that why you're actively fundraising this year?
Well, because it spread 100,000 over 56 townships, it's about 2,000 a town. So we definitely need more funding than just 2,000 a town to help people.
And you said you have 100,000 and then you're trying to build them.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so the more funding that we raise, the more that we can redistribute back to the towns.
So the $100,000 that's being spent by your United
Our
Way.
organization is putting $100,000, yeah.
Just to be clear, is the state putting any money into the fund?
I think the commissioner was talking about the different programs
Yeah,
that we
right.
have in addition. So we wanted to get the message out
Yeah.
to the people of Connecticut to contribute to this rapid response fund, but we have a whole host of other programs that the commissioner outlined. So
Yes, for emergency, we have hubs, and the list of those hubs will be on our website of the village. So individuals can actually access some flexible resources that we have given them to the hubs.
And I know the governor mentioned some federal cuts, some of those have come down from HUD, and I know that a lot of service providers are concerned about cuts to the continuums of care. I believe they asked for $70 million. Where is the state on considering that?
So we are looking into the impact that we will have. We still don't know. Next week, we should be able to have a plan. I am meeting with service providers. We have a steering committee of about 30 service providers, and we will come out with a plan. The worst case scenario, we do have some flexibility in what we have right now. The Department of Housing receive about $22 million from continuum of care. The state receive about $90 million. So the Department of Housing has contract until June. So we have the resources. What we are planning is for how do we gonna apply and what type of impact will have the new NOFA that was out and that we will have to apply in January 14. So we will be planning with our partners what is the best way to proceed, and then looking at what are the gaps that will be to work with the government.
Where are some of the new studio units for some of the families?
So we have one that we just opened up in Wyndham, with Romantic, and I have a smile because it was our first one with the whole new building where it's not only the 10 double occupancy rooms. The organization also partnered with the local hospital to provide the medical care and mental health substance uses. They also have a collaboration with the university for the students to come and work with them and the workforce development. And also the space for shower for somebody that is out living shower in, and they will have a space for warming center that in Willimantic before we even have anything but just a congregate space.
Has there been a big shift to get families out of motels and hotels? I mean, you see that for a long time because that's what they can afford, and a lot of these motels or whatever rent to these families because they get income maybe on a regular basis, but that's not the ideal situation for a family, right?
Yes, it's not. We have been moving the families out of shelters. I explained before the families that we moved from the shelters in Fairfield County to housing with a 5-year subsidy. So we have to space. My staff is working out because we don't really get information on people that are in hotels until somebody calls 211. So when we get that, then we work together. So we will need to do a little more work to see how many families are in hotels or hotels.
Commissioner, there are really long wait times for, to even get on pulled off of a wait list from 211 when someone's referred for housing, as well as emergency shelters are full. The programs that you have listed so far and the initiatives the state is undertaking to build out capacity, what sort of impact do you expect that to have and how soon on those wait lists and people being turned away for help?
Yeah, and one of the reasons why we opened up the hubs was because of that, because of the long period of time. Now people can walk in and they can have assistance immediately, and it has worked. I would think that the decrease, although we have an increase of 9% in homelessness, but it decreased from 2023, that was about 13%. And then the decrease in families to a 10%. The prevention that we're doing with the hubs, because the hubs is working actively actually for people not to get into shelters, and then also with the Head Start on housing, as the governor mentioned, where we're trying to provide a rental assistance right away when we see a family in crisis, working with the Head Start program. So those, it started last year, a couple of years ago with the Head Start on housing. The hubs have a year and a half, and now they're really up and running, and we just provided more support to them. So, and then we also need to build the housing, right? So we have the studios that we're building, but we're also building the permanent housing, and it takes a couple of years to get those housing. So we're trying to use every tool that we can find to be able to respond to this situation.
So So I just want to make sure I understand. So the wait lists that that people are experiencing to get into shelters, emergency shelters, are you expecting to go away anytime soon?
I would think so. And I was talking to a shelter from Fairfield yesterday, and actually they told me that they have pets. And that sometimes it's just that a person that say no or call 211. And my recommendation would be for people to go into the hubs. The hubs have the real information, not the real information, the accurate day-to-day information about pets. That would be the best way, just walking into one of the hubs.
Governor, is spending any of the flexible fund that the legislature just approved on the continuums of care on the table for you?
Look, we will take a look at that, but you gotta remember, every week we get another brutal threat and cut from the federal government. We just went in circles around SNAP just over the last few weeks. We're gonna cut it. If you try and replenish it, we're gonna punish you. No, we won't. You gotta replenish it. And now we're back to a new normal, and hopefully those lines in food share. So you talk about now there's some threats in terms of housing cuts. We do have a $500 million reserve there to take care of the most vulnerable in need. And I want to make sure that nobody's sitting outside can't get a place to stay in January if it's due to the fact that the feds have cut back on things.
Governor, can you talk about housing, just as on the housing bill that passed and how important that is? And there's been some pushback to it, there continues to be. We're going to visit some cities and towns about the importance of it. Why do you think that there continues to be so much resistance?
Because I think the Republicans are looking for an issue and not looking for a solution. I worked very hard over the last 6 months. I aggravated some people in this room when I said, look, I want to make sure we have a housing bill that takes care of the folks, gets more housing, a wide variety of housing, starting with affordable housing. I worked closely on both sides of the aisle, get something done. I had the mayors on board, Republican and Democratic mayors, saying this is a good bill. We take the lead, and we're standing with you. In the legislature, it's a little more ideological, and so I couldn't get any support at all from the Republicans there. That said, we're going to get the bill. It's going to be transmitted to us any day. We're going to sign it. We're going to make a difference.
Are there ultimatums, or is it just you have to have a plan?
You have to have a plan. You've got to have a plan. Every single town has something called planning and zoning commissions. I find most of them do a lot of zoning and not much planning. Please tell us where you want the housing built. Tell us what you want your town to look like in 10 or 15 years. We'll be there as your partner along the way. I think there's a lot of gross misrepresentation out there. I'm saying, look, I'm not in Hartford, I'm in Greenwich, and every 2 years we have a local election, and every 2 years I get a flyer, which is got an 8-story high-rise next to a ranch on 1 acre of land, saying they're trying to do this to you. This has gone on for 40 years. I understand the politics of the issue, but you don't believe in economic opportunity, you don't believe in affordability, you don't believe in taking care of people most in need. Unless you deal with housing, we're going to deal with it in an honest way, led by the mayors.
Governor, those plans that need to be approved by OPM, what do you sort of envision wanting to see in those plans in order for a town to win approval?
A good faith effort to show us where housing is going to be in your town, over a period of time. Maybe you got a downtown district, transit-oriented district. Maybe you pre-zone it, so make it easier for people to step up. If you just have 3 units of affordable housing down by the dump, we'll probably think you're not all that serious about it. We want to be there as your partner, though, Jackie. We want to understand there. I know you want more rail service. I know you want a new train station. I know you want a new school. Maybe you're a small town. You say, I can get housing, but I need sewer and water. Give us a call. We'll be your partner.
This is on the fund, the United Way Fund. There was a lot of talk about families. I'm not sure we clarified what you need to do to qualify. Is there income restrictions, household size restrictions?
Yeah, we don't have restrictions on the fund. It's just an assessment very similar to the LCSW. Do you want to talk about maybe the process when you see a family?
People come to us asking for a specific assistance. It could be in a shape of a partial payment or a monthly payment for the rent, and with the appropriate documentation, perhaps a lease. That's something that we will, use the funding, to provide it to them. The criteria, eligibility, is just being a resident, being a human, being close to us, talking to us. This is, the part that it's incredible when we use United Fund because it eliminates the bureaucracy and some of the other assistance that people are afraid to provide us.
And just while you're up there, would you spell your name
Astrid, A-S-T-R-I-D,
and your last name?
Calderon, C-A-L-D-E-R-O-N.
Thank you.
So someone doesn't need to have a CAN appointment in order to access that?
No.
No, okay.
And I appreciate Astrid mentioning that because that is the beauty. We can partner with government, we can partner with the Commissioner of Housing on all the great programs that they have in the state. This complements it, right? And there is no flexibility. There's flexibility around the funding that you don't have with other types of programs. And so that's why we're working as a public and private partnership with the state.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes.